the most important thing, and it's not just small businesses that have this, it's businesses of all sizes, is getting a really good understanding of your metrics and your data, and not just what the different benchmarks are in your industry, but what they are for you, making sure that you understand and factor in all your costs and understand what a good return on investment is for you. I think that's the first step in the process that is glossed over quite often. People don't really get to understand their data. If you interrogate your data early on and you know where your targets are and you can set realistic targets, then that's definitely the first step of the process, and then it all slots into place. But without that groundwork, it's really difficult to make the progress that you want to see in ads. But Meta have actually rolled out, or are beginning to roll out, a brand new type of campaign. So they're replacing their Advantage Plus shopping campaign. Now that's something that's been around for quite a few years now. Their AI targeting has been getting better all the time, and now there's a change going on, and even those of us working really closely in Meta have yet to see how this is going to play out. But Advantage Plus shopping has been a game changer for e-com, but it's being slowly phased out with Advantage Sales campaign coming in. One of the things that we've all come to rely on in Advantage Plus shopping campaigns is the existing customer cap. So you could set a percentage. Now that's going, which a lot of people in advertising and a lot of e-com brands are a bit concerned about. But there are elements of it that could be quite helpful in terms of the direction that it's moving in. And a lot of that, as I said, is still to be seen. But what we do know is that Meta has invested insane amounts of money in their AI, and the majority of that goes into targeting. We know that meta targeting is getting better and better all the time, and they obviously feel that this is the next iteration of that. So the sales campaign will be targeting using the creative. The move was anyone working in or doing advertising a few years ago would be very aware of things like interest-based audience, lookalike audiences. These things are gradually being phased out because Meta's AI targeting is so good. Meta now see the creative as the targeting. So it's a real shift in how you need to think about how you're going to get in front of your people, and it makes you realise how important that creative is. That creative is more important than it has ever been, because that will drive who Meta is serving the ads to. So with these new campaigns coming in, lots of unknowns, but it is their latest way of driving you into using their AI targeting. Now, a lot of more established businesses can get a bit set in their ways, and that's, this is the way we've always done it, and we're going to stick to this, and we want to do manual campaigns, and there's of course place for all of that, and if it's working, absolutely stick with it. But if there's a new product coming in, you have to roll with it, you have to embrace it, and you have to, within reason. I wouldn't recommend you just uniformly go, well, Meta's saying I should do this, so I should do it. What you have to do is kind of pull the bits that are working for you and test the bits that are new, and try and work out how it's going to work for your brand. You don't want to get set in your ways and sticking to the old ways, because those changes are coming whether you like it or not. Platforms will overestimate their involvement in a conversion, so there are some really fantastic tools out there like Triple Whale or Thought Metric, or they're third-party tools basically that pull all your data in. You can even link them up to your website depending on what platform you're using. Pull all your data in and look at the different touch points and attribute conversion data in a much more measured way, looking at the whole picture. So this is where the holistic approach comes in. They do have a cost associated with them, but they are really brilliant tools of trying to understand your data a bit more. And I think a lot of brands really rely on that now, because Meta will be saying its ROAS is X, its attribution level is a certain height. You need to interrogate that a bit more aggressively to really get to the bottom of what's happening. And also keeping in mind with that, you may find that, say you're running ads on Google and Meta, and your Google ROAS is fantastic, but your Meta one isn't so great. There could be a tendency for you to take that data and think, well, I should put more spend into Google and less into Meta. Meta's probably driving a huge amount of that, and using these third-party tools gives you a much better idea, being able to understand that Meta is your top of funnel, and people are then coming along later converting. And you can even see how many touch points down to each individual conversion. It might be as many as 10 touch points, and that will be your organic, your email, your Google, Meta, TikTok, wherever you're advertising. So if you want to kind of get a really good understanding of it, those third-party tools are very helpful. That's the other thing, it's interpreting your data, and that's why, you know, at the beginning I said that getting a real understanding of what that data means to you. It's all very well going, oh, I've got a 2% click-through rate, that's amazing. But if you don't know what is going on around that, and whether that's those people are converting, and what the customer journey is doing, and all of the other elements, you know, ads are just a cog in the machine. They're a really important cog, but they are just a cog in the bigger machine. So I think whilst I say lean into the changes, it's also really important that you are completely on it with what's happening in your account. So leaning into it and just allowing it to spend. I mean, if you're on Google, for example, if you just give your Performance Max campaign a massive budget, it will just spend it all, and then you won't necessarily get the results that you want. So it's knowing how to negotiate that on each platform as well. So what campaigns will just spend, and where you need to be really closely monitoring in Meta, particularly on like an ad by ad basis. What Meta can get really carried away and just decide to put all of its budget into something that's getting a good click-through rate, but it's not actually converting. So if you're not in there daily, you know, I'm in my clients' ads accounts multiple times every day just to check what Meta's doing and where it's spending and where it's prioritizing, and to, you know, to tweak, to guide it to up and down budgets, to pause ads that it's over prioritizing. So yeah, so there's absolutely no element of just set up and let it go. You know, you need to lean into the AI and utilize it to your benefit, but you've got to really be on it as well. It's just being really open to what's coming and what's next. And, you know, when Meta make a big change, like they've been rolling out this new campaign type, the platform itself has been an absolute nightmare to work with for the last few weeks. If you weren't in it every day, you wouldn't see quite how much is changing and adapting all the time.
How would you introduce a new product, or if you're launching a new brand, how would you get Meta or Google working with you in this kind of AI world?
It's all about the creative for Meta. You know, if your creative is a good representation of your product, whether it be a video or a single image or whatever you're using, then in theory Meta will find your people based upon that creative, and of course your copy. And if you're getting that wrong, then that's where your ads will fall down. But I think, you know, obviously if you're launching a brand new account, you've got no data, you may not even have an audience list, you may have nothing that you can pull in, because Meta, although it's targeting using a creative, it still really learns if you've got an audience list or you've got pixel data. Those really inform its choices on who it serves the ad to. But that doesn't mean it's not going to work. I've just launched a campaign last week actually for a new client who had no history in their Meta account of any purchase conversions at all, and it's just flown. It's flown fantastically, and they have they've done a bit of reach, etc., but nothing major, and it works. It does work. It finds the people that it needs to serve it to. I think with Google it's more. It's still more elements of the traditional PPC. They're more, you know, making sure that you're getting search terms right and doing your research, working out, using ads planner, keyword planner, going in and really interrogating what people are searching for when they want to purchase your product. And there's great ways of creating. If you're using, for example, the Performance Max, which is the AI-driven main e-commerce campaign type in Google these days, there are brilliant ways of building your audience. Using ChatGPT prompts is really helpful. So for pulling in search themes, using GMC to look at the competitors that they've flagged there. There's lots of ways that you can build that and pull that together and get a really robust audience signal that will then be fed into the Performance Max campaign, and it will really help it understand who it's targeting. So there's a lot of manual effort involved in it still. So although we're saying, you know, I'd say lean into the AI, you also need to make sure that you're coming from the right place and that you're really giving it the guidance that it needs. Just going in and setting up a ASC with no purchasers, no nothing, you know, or a PMax with very little in terms of audience data and where you want, what direction you want to guide it into. Like, there's still interesting things you can add in Google as well, which really helps flesh that out. So giving it as much as possible to go on, rather than just saying, here's my creative, off you go. is really important.